everyone. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new single by Katy Perry titled Never Really Over. This is the first single and first tease of her upcoming fifth studio record, which we know absolutely nothing about. But I think one can presume that it will be coming out later this year. My prediction is probably around like September, October, probably this fall. This is a song that was produced by Zed and Dream Lab. She's returning to work with Zed after 365, which came out in February, which was sort of more of a just like one-off collaboration between the two, which I actually really loved. I never made a video, I think, talking about the song on this channel. I'm not sure why. I just slipped through the cracks somehow. But I actually really enjoyed that song. I thought it was, it wasn't anything to phone home about, like a lot of these pop songs that I'm starting to realize I'm sort of not that crazy about. But I actually thought it had like a rhythm to it that made it kind of good to exercise to. I don't know. It seemed to be like the treadmill song for me. I don't know why. But it had a great groove to it. Never Really Over was teased as a return to 2011 style pop, which is interesting because Katy Perry didn't actually release an album in 2011. I would assume maybe they meant more 2010, Teenage Dream, or 2013, Prism. Also 2012, she released Wide Awake and Part of Me. I actually think that Never Really Over sounds most similar in style to some of those songs like Wide Awake and Part of Me. It has a similar sort of uplifting, very synth heavy, very like I said, a little bit throwback, a little bit 80s style pop sound, which is dime a dozen, but honestly, for Katy, it's always worked pretty well for her. And that's sort of where this is being really heralded as this is the return to form for Katy Perry as like serving a real summer smash hit. I see this song doing really well this summer in terms of streams and in terms of radio. Be very surprised if it did not debut at #1. I don't know. I think that she knew exactly what she was trying to do when she concocted this song. Now, I will emphasize it does feel very concocted to sound very much similar to other songs she's released in the past, particularly songs from Teenage Dream and Prism. I feel like this song and the visuals are sort of a mishmash of the two, but I don't have any problem with it. I've always been fond of Katy Perry's music. It's sugary and it's sweet, and sometimes it doesn't have a lot of substance, and sometimes it's a little bit, I don't know. There are some songs that like were overplayed so much that they got a little bit annoying, like Firework and Roar. Those songs felt like they overstayed their welcome a bit, but this song could also go down that territory, but I'm totally okay with Katy Perry doing really well in the charts. A lot of people were divided around her latest album, Witness, which if you watch my review, I actually thought it was probably the most schizophrenic record she'd released so far in her career. It had the most divergent sort of styling, and I think that it was an album of some really great highs and some really abysmal lows. It was the first album where it was just it was so divided in that respect. In a lot of ways, it actually wasn't very cohesive. So I think that Witness kind of failed in forming the traditional pop Katy Perry staple record. But honestly, songs like Chain to the Rhythm and Hey 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 and Pendulum and even Bon Appetit I actually got into. I didn't mind those songs. I liked that they were a little different, that she was experimenting, but there were some really, really bad songs on that record. I'm not trying to sugarcoat. Some of the production was really cringy. You could tell that it was just very, very wayward. And so this is a return to form for her, for sure, with the more traditional pop synth staple of just doing kind of the same thing, but you know what? Still making it unique enough to like be triumphant and interesting. I think the chorus obviously is like one of the stronger elements, but the post-chorus, where everything speeds up, at first was a little bit grating to me. It was like, oh, okay, we're going to flatline a little bit here in terms of tonality. Like, it's just like, how fast can we speak the lyrics out on one note? And it didn't necessarily turn the note enough for me to like find it matching for the rest of the song. Like, there was just mismatch. And it felt abrasive. It felt kind of abrasive. Like when you're going to speak on exactly every single synth drop, it feels like this sort of, I don't know, beaten to death kind of effect. The chorus, though, where it's this swell and it's like this very huge moment that's triumphant. 2 years and just like that, my head still takes me back. Thought it was done, but I guess it's never really over. We were such a mess, but wasn't it the best? Like this kind of rehashing of a relationship that fell apart that you realize is after all this time has still been salvageable, and you've been turning away from it because you've been afraid of certain things that have been triggered by re kind of connecting with this person. And I don't know, it doesn't always have to be necessarily a relationship. The song could be broad enough to just be about anything, really. And she sings, you know, you're starting to trickle back in, and I don't want to fall down the rabbit hole. Cross my heart, I won't do it again. You know, this sort of fear of repeating old habits by like trying to go back to something in your past and possibly rectify it. But the reason that it's still in your brain means something, because it really means that, like, gosh, I need to like really revisit this. I'm pretending that I have moved on, but I really haven't. The visuals are extremely over the top and in a lot of ways kind of pop art-y. And they're interesting enough. I think that the visuals sort of feel a little bit thrown together because the video is kind of short, and I just feel like it could have done with a little bit more. I don't know, stretching it out, maybe adding some dialogue, maybe adding just a little bit to make it a little bit more epic. I felt like the song just being from start to finish, and that's the whole video, with all of these visuals and this whole premise of going to this sort of wellness, camp somewhere in the middle of, the California wilderness, which we all know is like a staple of what we consider Bohemian Californians, right? They always go off on these retreats, and there's like a guru, and it's all about, cleansing yourself, and it's actually quite bougie. It's actually not necessarily that wild, but it's branded to be as such. I think that it's an interesting sort of metaphor that she's using by showing herself in that sort of environment. And it comes off a little culty. It comes off a little ritualistic. So it's interesting, the visuals she's playing with, but I do feel like she only like threw them together and then didn't really leave any kind of explanation as to not necessarily why. I don't want her to explain why the visuals are there. I just feel like they needed a little bit more of a story to like sort of ground it. I don't know how else to describe that. But anyway, it just felt a little bit fast. So ultimately, I don't have really anything bad to say about it. Like I said, I predict this song to do really well over the summer, and I'm really excited to see where she returns with her fifth record, what it sounds like, what she's up to. And apparently this song samples a song by a Norwegian artist named Dagny. So there's some sampling going on, by the way. I just thought I'd throw that out there. But anyway, yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of Never Really Over. Thank you all so much for clicking and watching. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful, blessed day. Bye.